Well, everybody, guess what? It's springtime. Finally, after all this time, we've gone from snow to spring, and what a day. Welcome back for another frolicking episode of Mondays with Mundy. And that's me, Jim Mundy, the historian for the Union League Legacy Foundation. So I thought, we've talked about a lot of members in the past, and we had some pretty amazing members, and we still do. But here's a member I think is going to be really an eye opener because this member invented something that we use every day, morning, noon, and night. And I thought it'd be a fun story to talk about this member and exactly what it was that he invented. And I'll give you three guesses, and the first two don't count, just in case. So anyway, so let's go down this path of discovery in our episode, and we'll find out what this member invented. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And one more thing. Come on. Go. Come on. There we go. And I do that. And Eureka. I don't know why I'm always amazed when this works, but okay. All right, so here we are. Newsflash. League member makes breakthrough invention. Ta-da! Paper towel. Who would have thought a league member was the genius behind paper towels? So here we go. This is he, Arthur Hoyt Scott. And as you can tell from the previous slide, Scott paper. So Arthur was born, as you can see, in 1875 in Camden, New Jersey. His father was Edward Irvin Scott, and his father and his uncle Clarence were basically the two founders of Scott Paper Company in 1879. Now, their timing was perfect because in the late Victorian period, domestic plumbing and specifically bathroom plumbing and hygiene standards were becoming more sophisticated. And so it was the perfect time to get into the paper product market because what did they start with? Voila. All right, you can see toilet paper. All right, so you can see they're originally in Philadelphia. And this is really the breakthrough product for them. It was toilet paper, good old-fashioned toilet paper, but don't underestimate the value of toilet paper, okay, all right, in the modern market of the world. So anyway, so this is what they started making in Philadelphia, and it just took off, as you can imagine. So young Arthur would go to school at Swarthmore College, and he would graduate. Actually, his parents moved from Camden to Swarthmore in 1890. He graduated from Swarthmore in 1895. And shortly after, he would, of course, join Scott Paper Company as a vice president. And in 1890, 1900 roughly, okay, Arthur, now would be a little older, gets married to Edith Wilder, and they would have one daughter. And on their honeymoon to Australia, of all places, even back in 1900, Arthur began to realize that, there is a world market for Scott products, for paper products. And he was right, because by the time he died in 1927, he turned Scott Paper into the world's largest manufacturer of paper products. So he knew what he was doing. So, but we're not to talk about toilet paper, are we? We're here to talk about Scott Paper, and this was the plant that actually Arthur had built in Chester, Pennsylvania, and this is where it really took off. I mean, he first built a plant at 7th and Greenwood in Philadelphia. I tried hard but couldn't find an illustration. But here's the Chester plant that he also built, because Arthur was apparently a really, really bright guy and a very imaginative young man at the same time. So while he's developing the company, it's 1907. So early 20th century Philadelphia, and he hears a story about a school teacher in Philadelphia during a flu epidemic, and there were many flu epidemics. I mean, they had them like every year practically, it seemed. And back then, they only had cloth towels, and so in a classroom, students would wash their hands, but use the same cloth towel to dry them or blow their nose and things like that. Whatever, that's all they had, folks. So obviously, this teacher then created, thinking that was very unsanitary and very unhealthy, and probably, feeding the flu all around, got the idea of taking coarse sheets of paper, but softer than usual paper, and using them as individual handkerchiefs or towels, shall we say. So Arthur heard about that in theory, and he thought, you know what? let's go make a paper towel. And that's what he did. And here we go. So Arthur came out with this invention in 1907. And this is, as you can see, it was in a box, but it was on a roll. So it was, and that was very specific. So I'm going to read you what Arthur said himself about his invention of the roll of paper towels. As you can see, it was called tissue towels, or soft tissue at this point in time, right? And these are Arthur's own words. My object is to embody in the towel cleanliness and antiseptic qualities, coupled with such cheapness that the towel might be destroyed after use. The towels are preferably formed in rolls, so that only one towel at a time may be exposed and detached. The roll form in which the towels are arranged, acting to protect the unused towels from absorbing moisture and gases from the atmosphere, and where a long exposure might permit the absorption of such objectionable elements before the towel would be used. So he clearly is creating this as a sanitary device. Okay, that's what it's meant to be. And clearly it worked. So that was 1907. So in 1910, Arthur applies for a patent. And here we go. This is the patent application. And it would be awarded 5 years later in 1915. As you can see, Scott Paper would eventually go on to also create patents for paper towel dispensers and things like that. And actually, Arthur himself was pretty creative and imaginative. He would hold eventually 12 patents. And you can see, so supporting device for packages, paper towel improvement, toilet paper, serving fixtures, just went on and on and on and on. So pretty smart guy and a creative genius, but also a good manager, because nobody can create something and make it successful if you can't manage it at the same time. So 1907, he creates the paper towel. 1910 applies for the patent, awarded in 1915. All right, so things are looking pretty good. So in 1920, his father, Irvin, as he became known, retires, and Arthur succeeds his father as president of Scott Paper Company. And this is when things would really take off. So as you can see now, Arthur had a very basic business philosophy. Create a few high quality products, charge as little as possible for them, while still obviously making a profit, and then market the heck out of them. I mean, just because after all, if people don't know what you're making and what you can use it for, they're never going to buy it. So Arthur was a big believer in marketing. And here are two really, we have a couple examples of Scott towel, or as you can see, Scott tissue towels, and their marketing. And obviously they're aimed at different audiences. But again, sanitary. Okay, and that's its original use. And why not? So and here's what's keep them smiling, give them towels that dry. And it looks like here we have a C-fold. So obviously technology was always improving the product. And this is a really nice photograph. This is actually, I think, from a Saturday Evening Post advert. And you can see the towel dispenser and the towels coming off. Just now, here we have our version of a modern paper towel. 2 large rolls for 25 cents. Man, you can get half a roll for 25 cents today. So anyway, so this is what's happening to Scott Paper, thanks to Arthur Hoyt Scott. All right, now 1926, as you can see from this advert, Scott sold 67 million rolls of paper tissue products. It is now the world's largest manufacturer, bar none, of paper tissue. Okay, whether it's toilet paper, paper towels, any kind of paper product, Scott is it. And Arthur Scott is at the height of his success and his power, if you will, as a major corporate leader in America. So, and keep in mind, Philadelphia and the suburbs are still at this point one of the largest manufacturing centers in America. So, and it's a league member who's leading the charge. So this is 1926. Now, Arthur and his wife, Edith Wilder, purchased this house in Rose Valley, Pennsylvania, in Delaware County, outside of Swarthmore, Media, places like that. All right, it's called Todd Morton Hall. And this is where, unfortunately, Arthur would die on February the 25th of 1927. He had a stroke they called apoplexy. So that was his home. So clearly cut down in the prime of his youth. He was only 51 years old. And at this point, as we've heard, if you watched an episode a couple of weeks ago about league member Thomas B. McCabe, you'll know that McCabe was Arthur Scott's handpicked successor at Scott Paper. So Todd Morton Hall. Now, Both Arthur and his wife, Edith, were horticulturalists. Arthur was a founding member of the American Peony Society, and he was the treasurer of the American Iris Society. And they obviously were cultivators as well. They were hybridizers, much the way we've seen about other league members who were in the horticultural business as well. And I think of George Thomas, for instance, with his roses. So after Arthur died in 1927, his family gave money to Swarthmore College, his alma mater, and they created the Scott Arboretum at Swarthmore College. And this is the Scott Amphitheater, and it is spectacular. Look at that, pretty neat stuff. So that's that. All right, so Scott tissues, great advertising. After all, if nobody knows what products you make, you'll never know to buy them. But Scott, so Arthur Scott obviously died long before he should have. Scott Paper, under Thomas B. McCabe, would continue its march from being a national powerhouse to an international powerhouse in terms of paper products. Now, Americans consume over 50% of all paper products in the world today, but still, Scott was around the world. They were a multi-billion-dollar company. Although in 1995, though, Scott Paper was purchased by Kimberly-Clark. So Scott Paper products still exist, but the corporation does not. Well, maybe it does. Michael Scott, will this work? Okay. A little humor in the program, I hope. So when the next time you go into a bathroom or a kitchen or anything and you use a paper towel, don't forget it was invented by a Union League member named Arthur Hoyt Scott in 1907. Hot and duggity dogs. All right, so there you go. So what a way to start the spring. So thanks for watching as always. I hope you enjoyed this. Learn a little something new today. I hope you do every time you watch one of these episodes of Mondays with Mundy. And a shout out to the Union League Legacy Foundation for sponsoring these programs. They're a lot of fun. I hope you're enjoying them. And we'll see you next week, I hope. But in the meantime, stay safe, stay well, get your COVID shots, and we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody. Take care and goodbye.